Hello and welcome to the Wedding Dish Podcast. Grab your fork and knife and have a seat at our table as we dish on all things weddings. You'll hear stories and tips from real couples and wedding pros about love, life, and entrepreneurship. I'm Sarah Alapin, host of The Wedding Dish and CEO of Photos in the Harty and District Bliss. Our little French bulldog bud has abandoned me in favor of the kitchen because my husband is cooking. So you won't hear his little snores today. And thanks everyone for tuning in to the Wedding Dish. Let's dish. Today we are talking with one of my couples from 2023. We were just talking about it, and it's been almost 8 months, maybe almost 9 months since they got married. And she planned a wedding in her quote unquote hometown, because not totally town, but close enough. While living in Hawaii. Megan, thank you so much for joining me on the Wedding Dish today.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to catch up with you. It's clearly been too long since we've chatted.
Too long. Yeah.
I might have to get coffee with your mom. I miss her.
You should. She'd love that, honestly. And Bridget.
And Bridget.
Yeah. I'll zoom in. It'll be fine.
Okay. We'll just take you on our phones.
Yeah. That'd be great.
So I'm curious, what was it like planning a wedding in your home state while living in Hawaii?
It was not easy. I will tell you that. It was a lot of transparency with my vendors to be like, hey, I'm 6 hours behind you. So can we find a middle ground and make sure that timing works for meetings, because your 9 a.m. meetings are not really going to work for me. I'm not taking a meeting at 3 a.m. Thank you. So it was a lot of 9 a.m. meetings my time, 3 p.m. meetings Eastern, which worked. That became the standard. But I would say the biggest part that helped the process was I was planning it all with my mom. And so she was on East Coast time. So if there was something in person, or she had to drop off a check or something, or whatever it may be, she was my advocate there, which was so helpful, because I could not have done it without her. I planned it from Hawaii, but I have no idea how people plan destination weddings when it's not their hometown, planning something in Italy, which I guess there's a whole job for that, but that's not what I was doing. So
Yeah, it was really helpful to have your mom from my perspective too. Also because she had so much enthusiasm surrounding your wedding too.
Yeah.
Which was like a contagious level of enthusiasm.
Yeah, she was really excited, and I was too, obviously. But she was this was the first wedding that she'd planned. It was the first of my siblings and the cousins and everything. So this was the standard. This was going to be the wedding. So we balled out.
It was fantastic, and it was such a fun day. I think it was exactly what your mom wanted. It seemed like it was exactly what you wanted as well.
And that was the nice thing, is that we wanted the same thing. So we were never butting heads on things, some things here and there. I won't lie to you, but it was, for the most part, we had the same through line, the same ideas.
I would imagine that was very important for you and your mom, because I would imagine both of you are pretty stubborn.
What? Sarah? Yeah, no, we are. So when it did come down to little things like that, it was I'm just gonna see how far I can push this. Let's see if she'll bite. But no, we were really we are very aware of our stubbornness, and we could take a step back and be like, okay, no, they said no. It's not gonna happen. So, I mean, it would be I say no because she's paying for it, and then she would say no because she's it's her wedding. So we had to find that middle ground of okay, where are we compromising on this one?
It's good you had that through line of the vision.
Yeah.
Um, and a huge part of your vision was celebrating the military traditions. So, can we talk a little bit about the military traditions you incorporated in your wedding?
Yeah, so we actually celebrated our wedding Veterans Day weekend, which was really important because I come from a military family. My dad was in the Navy for 30 years, and my husband is an officer in the Marine Corps. And a lot of his friends and his brother was in the Marine Corps. So it was really important to us that we like take this weekend that we've gathered so many service members and honor, what they've done for us and for their country. So in terms of like traditional military wedding things, Will was in uniform and so was my dad, which made my mom very happy. And so they looked so nice. They got all dolled up and everything. And then we did a sword arch entrance for our cocktail hour. So it's traditionally 6 service members, and they will have their swords, and they hold them up and create an arch, and the couple walks through one at a time. And right before you hit that sword, it comes down. And they say the price of passage is a kiss. And so you have to kiss in front of every set of swords. And the last set of swords was actually my dad and one of Will's triplet brothers, Jack, which was very special. And then when we passed through them, Jack had the honor, and this is traditional, of smacking me on my butt with his sword. So that got a good chuckle.
And saying, "Welcome to the Marine Corps, Mrs.
Yes.
Graham."
Welcome to the Corps, Mrs. Graham. So that was on the traditional side. And then the non traditional side, again, because it was Veterans Day weekend and the Marine Corps birthday, we decided to do a little like Marine Corps birthday celebration. So I messaged everyone who was in the service and said, like, hey, we're doing this thing. Like, we'd love for you to be a part of it. Oops, sorry. I don't know if you heard my text, but anyway,
Nope, you're
so
good.
okay, good. So we'd love for you to be a part of this. It's going to be in a little separate room during the cocktail hour, and we had a cake, and they did. There's a tradition in the Marine Corps where the person who's been in the service the longest in that room serves the person who's been in for the least amount of time a slice of cake, and it's a very like ceremonial thing. It's very nice. Um, and they also stole a bottle of rum from the bar. So that was a nice touch on their end. Yeah, but I got a lot of compliments on it. I wasn't a part of it. I wasn't in there. It was just for people who had been in the service, and they said that was a really nice way to like honor the weekend. Like, thank you. So props to Will for doing that. That was mostly him.
I thought it was a really good idea too. I think that it is a really nice way to honor the people who have served our country, and give them kind of a minute to have they have like a secret, not secret, but like a special culture among service members. And so it was nice to be able to photograph that and have that like moment of being yourself in a different part of being yourself, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was like a step away from the wedding, a step away from like, this is Megan and Will's special day, to be like, this is all of our days, and we're just all here dressed up, fancy, and drinking around it. So,
It
yeah.
was very cool. I'm glad you did that. In terms of the sword arch, we put a lot of planning and had a lot of discussions about this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what did you end up thinking in the end of the photos? Were they like the way that you envisioned it? And we could talk about how we did the photos and things as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I loved it. It came out so much better than I even thought it was going to be. And I know there was a lot of back and forth of like, well, do we do it here? Do we do it at this time? Like, what exactly are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And the way that we did it outside, like coming towards the people who are at cocktail hour at the manor, was like so beautiful, and everybody got a view, which I thought was really nice, that everyone was able to like see it and appreciate it in its fullness. And yeah, it was gorgeous. And the background, I mean, I love that tree. That
Oh,
red
yeah.
tree back there was in all of the photos. So and being able to practice it too. So with the videographer being able to get some like rehearsal shots, that was helpful because I mean his video was gorgeous and your pictures were gorgeous, so it was the best of the rehearsal and the actual like performance, if you will.
Yeah. So we were losing the light basically is what was happening because this was November. So and on the east coast of the United States, you lose the light a lot earlier in November than you do like right now as we record in July, where it's like
Yeah.
your last light is at 9 o'clock versus last light on your wedding day was at like 6 or something.
It was early.
It was very early. And so we were worried we were going to lose the light. And so we had played around with where we could actually put it. And part of what we had loved about Megan and Will's ceremony was having some of those aerial shots. And not flying a drone, but like having a photographer physically be above. So the way that we stationed it is we had a second level. So one photographer was down on like at eye level, and then I was up in somebody's hotel room.
Yeah, you were in someone's room, just off their balcony.
Photographing it, and it
Yeah.
worked. I don't even know whose room it was.
I couldn't tell you, and I don't think they knew, so
I didn't
it's
touch
fine.
anything.
No harm, no foul.
But it was really nice to be able to be creative with that because it was such a priority and it was something we talked about from the beginning. So I'm really glad to hear that you liked the way they turned out because I was really excited with the way they turned out. And I thought Jennifer, who was the additional photographer that day, we had such a good complimentary view. And she had the red tree in the background too for
Yeah.
hers, which I was like, Megan's going to love this.
Yeah, I loved everything about it. I did love having the two perspectives. I thought it really added to what was such like a special traditional moment because my parents had a sword arch at their wedding and it was a little different. They had theirs coming out of the chapel, and it was coming downstairs. And since they got married, on, I think they got married at Kings Point, which is where my dad went to school. Um, they did not know the Marine or the service members who were doing the sword arch. So, and my mom didn't know about the butt slap with the sword. So it was a total shock to her. And she turned around, she's like, "Oh my gosh." My dad is like, "Chill." He was supposed to do that. Don't kill him.
I I hope there's a photo of that because your mom is very animated and I
Oh
can
yeah.
imagine.
Oh yeah. It's in the wedding video. Sean did that. He A plus to Sean.
You're going to have to send it to me. I haven't seen your wedding video yet, but
Oh my gosh, seriously? You're gonna love
mhm.
it.
Oh my
You're
gosh,
gonna
I
love
can't wait.
it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I think at my adoptive little brother at his wedding they didn't know two of the service members. I don't think either of them knew two of the service members. He deployed the day after his wedding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, we were lucky enough to know all of our service members who were part of the Sword Arch, so it was really special, that it was people that Will has been, when he first got to Hawaii, they slept in our apartment on our couch. They've been through it together, and Jack being his brother and everything that they've gone through together, and then my dad, it was like a really special group of people in kind of a weird way, but just that they all played a part somehow in Will's life and his service. So that was really special for him.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I'm so glad that it worked out that way. Let's talk a little bit about Jack.
Yeah. Oh, Jack.
Oh, Jack, he is so fantastic. He's so funny. And he broke your bustle, which
He
I just found out
did.
about. So you want to tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
So in the reception, we had a head table, and Will and I had just finished eating, and we were gonna go make some rounds and talk to people at different tables. Thanks for coming, And I stand up, and I had a big dress that was bustled, obviously.
It was like a
And
princess dress.
it was like a princess dress. I loved it. And Jack stands up, I don't know, to go bar, bathroom, whatever. And neither of us realized he was stepping on the train of my dress. And I started to walk away. And all of a sudden I hear this pop. And I was like, I heard a pop. I heard a pop. I felt it. Something happened. And my sister, who's my maid of honor, like jumps into action. And she's just like, what happened? And I was like, I think Jack broke my dress. I think he broke my dress. And she was like, I'm going to kill him. I'm like, don't do that. No. We don't have time for that. And so she and Jack and one of Will's other groomsmen, Sam, like all jump over and they're trying to figure out like, where is it broken? What happened? How do we fix it? And Sam had this genius idea. He looks at Will's uniform, and on his shoulder is like a double pinned rank insignia. And he's like, take that rank off right now. And Will's like, what? He's like, take it off. And he takes it off his shoulder, and Sam gives him one off his uniform so that Will still had like, his matching his ranks on either side. And Sam reaches his arm down the back of my dress and says, on 3, you need to breathe in. I said, okay. He goes, 1, 2, 3. And I go, and he pushes the rank through like a million layers of fabric through my dress. And then he like buttons it on the other side. So I sent you a picture of it. My dress was being held together on one side with a bustle and on one side with Will's rank.
It's just so good.
It was so funny. It was one of those moments where it's like, I would have never in a million years like thought that this could happen. Like, and this was also not the solution I would have gone with, but it worked. My dress stayed the whole night. So shout out to the Marine Corps for their good quality rank.
Yeah, and innovative thinking too.
Yeah.
Look at that
Yeah.
problem solving.
That was really something special. And we bullied Jack the whole night. And he's like, you shouldn't have been standing where my foot was going, which is a very typical Graham response. So
I feel like Jack is one of those people that things just happen to.
they do. Things just happen to Jack. And he's just like, well, this is it now. This is my life.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
For everyone who's wondering what the rank actually is, those like, I mean, I'm talking to the audience here as if you're sitting here, but the little like, they look like ribbons on the shoulder of the actual like of the uniform they're usually like 3 along the shoulder, right? 3?
So Will just has one, but it's like about an inch long and like half an inch thick, and it looks like a little golden bar. So jokingly they call them butter bars.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and they sit on their shoulders when they're in their dress blues.
And then
So that's their fancy uniform.
They popped it. Yeah, that's the fancy uniform. Good call. I didn't think to explain that one. So they popped it through from the other side. So it was like upside down, essentially, like coming through. It was inside out, maybe is the better way to describe that.
Yeah,
but
inside out.
You could not tell. I mean, it's like spaced exactly the way your bustle was spaced. So I'll put the picture in our show notes. I was shocked that I didn't notice this in editing because, of course, like I have seen all of these photos in extreme detail.
Yeah.
For a long time.
It was funny because when that was happening, one of my other bridesmaids, Haley, was filming it, and that's where I got the photo from. And she says, Megan, how many Marines does it take to fix a dress? I said, 3, but it only takes 1 maid of honor. And you'll see Bridget in that picture too. Yeah. And 1 rank.
Oh, man. Fantastic. It's those stories that I think like it seems like such a disaster in the moment, but it's like the things you love the most, like that'll be a story you tell forever. It'll be a story that like comes up, to rib Jack forever. And it's like the things that you just love about the people that you love because it's something that like it worked out fine. You just take a breath and like make it work.
So Jack's daughter was born a week before my wedding, and I can already picture in my mind jokingly bullying him at Thanksgivings to come about how he broke my dress on the day of my wedding, and how Lily will have to sit there and be like, I can't believe you did that to my favorite aunt. Sorry, Anne Marie, just kidding. I'm imagining this right now. She's not even a year old. She's not saying these things yet.
I mean, I feel like this will come up as Lily gets married. You're going to.
Yeah. Like, don't let your dad stand near your dress.
Oh my God, it's the best. Is there anything that you would have done differently surrounding your wedding day?
Surrounding the day, I think that there was nothing I could have done differently, because something that was a little bit of a pill to swallow for me, being like wanting to just be a little bit in control and know where everything is and what's happening at any given moment, was that like I cannot control everything. Like I can't control the fact that Jack is going to break my dress. I can't control that, like, oh my gosh, it looks like it's going to rain. Let's pivot and have the ceremony indoors instead of outdoors. Like there are just things that nobody can control and nobody can predict. So like just roll with the punches. Like I think that was one thing that I think I did well, was like, well, it's in God's hands. It's in the universe's hands now. Like there's not much I could do about it. So like I don't think there's anything that I would have done differently, because I don't know that I would have changed anything about the way my day went. It was perfect. It was the best day of my life.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
you, you have a lot of
Yeah.
amazing days ahead
Yeah.
too.
As of July 19th at 12:32 Hawaiian time is the best day of my life.
It was a really amazing day. I think you put a lot of thought into it leading up to it, including you left a mark on the venue.
I did. I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. I changed their bathroom signs.
Not physically yourself.
No, I didn't. No.
We went, and when we did the walkthrough, which was earlier than we would normally have done it because Megan was in town from Hawaii, and which was the perfect situation because you were able to make this happen. But do you want to talk about, I mean, I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
what I said about the signs.
Oh, I don't. You might have to refresh my memory. But I mean, we were walking around the venue where the reception was going to be, and it's this gorgeous barn. It's huge. It's got like these like fantastic chandeliers. And I'm looking around, and something like blue catches my eyes. And I'm like, is that the bathroom sign? And the wedding planner was like, yeah. And I was like, can we cover those or make them look not blue? And she's like, I think so. So what did you say?
Well, they were right at eye level. So, which is
Yeah.
great for finding the bathroom, but they would have been during the first dance if they were behind your head in any sort of way. I wouldn't have been able to remove it without potentially compromising your hair.
That's right.
And those kinds of things. So I was like, because the whole place is warm tones, it's like a lot of wood, a lot of like cream whites, and it was so noticeably blue
Oh my
that
gosh.
it really
Bright
stood
blue.
out. Yeah. Just because of the rest of the room. So Megan was like, can we switch these? And encourage them to rethink. And they ended up like loving the idea of having these other bathroom signs. I think it was a huge improvement on the venue overall.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, like I I just know if I looked back at the pictures and all I saw was like men's room, blue, I would have been like,
I know. And I was like, I cannot feasibly take this out in literally every picture. I
oh my
just
gosh,
wanted to make
no,
sure.
no. With the amount of pictures you sent me, mm-mm. No,
All
and
the
I think
dancing photos.
oh my gosh, yeah, and we danced a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
sign is probably in a lot of pictures, but we don't even notice it because now it's brown.
It's like invisible. That's one thing I would say to take away from this for our couples listening out there. Think about, if there is something like you can always ask. It's the worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
Um, there's no harm in asking. And it was a simple fix. It was an upgrade to their venue overall. And I think they were very happy. They had never thought about it. So
Yeah, and I just thought it was gonna be like a temporary fix, and then, our wedding planner sent me a picture, and she's like, "You've officially made your mark on the venue," and I was like, "Well, there you go, you're welcome."
as you toss your hair back over your shoulder.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I just do that, I have that effect.
What are some of the best decisions you made regarding your wedding celebration?
Ooh, obviously who my photographer was, that was a big part of it, she took some amazing pictures. Um, let's see. I think having such a great relationship with my photographer and with Sean, my videographer, because it made us so much more comfortable to be able to like have pictures being taken of us because like I mean, and even for Will, like he's not an awkward guy by any means, but like sometimes you feel a little awkward just standing there smiling for hours on end and like trying not to look at a camera when like you've been trained your whole life, look at the camera.
That's
So
true.
it's it's so nice to be able to have such a great like friendship with these people to be like, okay, I trust them. Like whatever you say or whatever I do is not gonna like it's not going to impact on an awkward or poor like level what's happening today. Like I trusted you and I trusted Sean and all my vendors that like, you know what? It is in your hands. You're going to do a great job. I know you. Make it happen.
That really means a lot.
Yeah.
I think it makes it easier as the photographer too when I'm invested in your relationship because then I can like take a minute and like make little jokes when your smiles are starting to look like they're a little tired and you're just like it like when your cheeks are starting to hurt. And this happens I think to everyone at their wedding. Like your cheeks start to hurt, your smile stops reaching your eyes at some point. Usually during the family photos. So then being able to like take a
Yeah.
minute and make a joke, I think makes a big
Oh, yeah. And somebody who's not gonna, like, internally freak out and be like, "Oh my gosh, she's not smiling in between photos." Like, no, my face hurts. I'm not smiling because I'm relaxed.
Did I have you do the trick where you blow your cheeks out as big as possible, exactly what you're doing right now, and then go and squish them?
No, no, you didn't, but I probably should have done that because I remember and especially because it was so cold when we were taking pictures outside, and I was like, "Who did this? Whose idea was this?" It was mine. It was my idea.
We at least we had those heaters. I That was another
Oh,
thing, like,
yeah.
where we took photos was very strategically done, even though it was a bit inconvenient, in terms of, like, at least I could drive you around, but it's
Yeah.
a big property where Megan got married. So, I drove them, everyone else kinda had to hoof it, but
They got their steps in.
they were fine. Yeah, they were
Yeah.
fine. But they warmed up on their walk.
Yeah.
But we planned it in places where there were heaters or places people could escape in order to get warm. So that's another like good pro tip, especially if you have family members that get a little cranky about or wedding party members because they could have
Mhm.
also been cranky. But no one in
Yeah.
your group was cranky.
No, we had a really laid back group, I will say. Like everyone was super positive and you know, I think the the Marines who were in uniform were very thankful that they were in dress blues because that suit is made of wool.
Oh yeah.
So they were warm.
Oh yeah,
It was
they
my
were happy.
bridesmaids who were like, "This is the best day of her life."
Poor Bridget looked the coldest.
Oh my gosh, she gets so cold. And they had shawls. I didn't send them out like bare arms against the wind. But no, having the heaters was a huge plus. So that was it was nice. And also at one point when we were down by the springs, we had beers, so that also helped.
Yeah, that does help. That
Yeah.
is a good thing. No red shots though, please. For the love of everyone, no red shots during
What?
family photos.
What are red shots?
Like a red honestly,
Oh,
it was a
like a
red-headed slut, got dropped both sides, which as a redhead, I hate that term.
oh my gosh.
But they got dropped down the back of both sides of the dress, down the whole train, like shot, like the thing spun and
Oh my
rolled off.
god.
I was shout wiping that dress for like 45 minutes. No red shots.
No, no.
Beers
I
are
didn't even
fun.
have I wouldn't even, like, stand near anyone who had red wine, I'd be like, "Nope, sorry."
Definitely, I'm a spiller, so I'm very aware.
I was sure I was gonna spill on myself at some point. The fact that I didn't, incredible.
Yeah, your dress was by the end in perfect condition.
Except for the bottom, looked like just a disaster, but that's because I was dancing. If your dress doesn't look super gross by the end of the night, did you even have fun?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If
Mine
you
was
have a
like,
train.
yeah, that's true too, especially if it's a princessy dress,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
ball gown for reference. But Megan looked like a princess in the ball gown.
Thank
Um,
you.
so tell me, I know military life is a very dynamic thing.
Yeah.
So tell me, how has life changed since you and Will got married? And, maybe some updates on what's going on with you and Will in this current moment right now as we talk.
Yeah. So as we speak right now, Will is currently deployed and
6
he's
months?
6 months. Yeah. So we're roughly at the halfway point. Um, but that has been like such a big difference is like from his first deployment to now, this is his second deployment, is like the support system that we find in each other and like having not only each other but like now our families to lean in on. And I talked a lot to my sister-in-law Madeline because her husband Jack was deployed for a long time, and I was like, how do you do it? How do you do it alone? Because they're from Ohio, they were stationed in North Carolina when he was deployed. And I was like, and she's like, well, I mean, you've got it a little harder. Like, I could at least drive home for a weekend. And I was like, this is true.
Or you're
But
in the same time zone, like North
yeah,
Carolina to Ohio.
yeah. But I have found that, like, being a military spouse, there's a great community of people who want to be there for you, who want to help you. I mean, like, I made a meal for a woman who just had a C-section the other day, and we're just in the same book club. But I'm like, oh my gosh, I know. She just got cut open and now she has to take care of an infant. I'm making her dinner. Like, and that is the community that you need. And so, and I have such amazing friends here and people who are so willing to step up and be like, come over for dinner. Like, you don't have to spend the night alone. Like, so being a part of that community officially has been a real lifesaver. Like, I've made some really amazing friends and met some great people here because we live on base, and I can, you know, say like, "Oh, yeah, my husband's deployed." So, I think that's been a really great thing despite him being gone. Like, I have a community and people to lean on.
I think that
Yeah.
makes such a big difference. And you've had family come out. I don't know who was out there, but I know we rescheduled this recording. So I know there was family there. I don't know which family, but you've had family come out and visit, even though it's a hike to get to Hawaii from the East Coast.
It is, but you know what? Like, we really lucked out with the house that we got, being that it's so much bigger than the house that we should be in, given Will's rank. So I tell people, I'm like, come visit, please come visit. All you have to do is pay for your ticket and your food when you're here. Like, I've got the house, use it. Like, I can see the Pacific Ocean from my upstairs window. Like, come on, what are you doing? So yeah, my parents were just here recently. Some family friends have come to visit. I have had quite the stacked summer. I've got two of my college friends coming next week, and they'll be here for a week, and then my cousin, and then my sister's coming out in August. So I have so many people who are usually not here who are going to be here supporting me, even if they have to get put through a Hawaiian vacation. They'll suffer through that for me.
I will be there next week.
Can't wait. Perfect.
I still think you should get dive certified. Just saying. Fill the time.
You know, one of my best friend out here, she and her husband are dive certified, and they love it. So maybe I'll do it with them.
Yeah, my adoptive little brother got dive certified when he was stationed out there, and he's been diving through the wrecks
Oh, nice.
of like the USS Arizona.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize you could do that.
I don't know if you can if you're not in the Navy, but
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he's a
That
Navy
is.
diver, so
Oh, okay.
um,
So
but if
that
you
makes sense.
can, I think that like that experience is probably unparalleled because that's something I hope that our country never experiences again, or any country. For those of you who don't know, that's the Pearl Harbor, like the store, like I don't know
Yeah,
what to
that's
call
the
it. The history, like the really, really sad part of, I mean, everything about it is sad. There's no way of
yeah.
describing this that isn't like a
It
lot of people
was
died on that boat.
yeah, it was one of the biggest attacks on U.S. soil
Yes.
from a foreign country, and there were I think uh, over 1,000 people passed away on that ship
Yeah. I couldn't get out.
because of the bombings.
Yeah.
But the Arizona, if you ever get a chance to go, is a really beautiful memorial and very educational, and I think they do a great job with the museum. So
Yeah.
I've done it quite a few times now that people have come and wanted to do it. So
You're going to
yeah,
have
you
to
do.
look into whether you can dive there as a military spouse because you might be able
Mhm.
to. And
Yeah.
I just think it would have like it would be a very impactful moment, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, that's it would absolutely be like very
surreal.
touching, insightful, yeah, surreal. So, I don't know if you can, but I've gone to the memorial, I've been able to look down and see there's, so the Arizona is still technically it's leaking gas, or fuel, and so like, I've seen it a couple times, not every time I've gone, but, you can see, like, some of the fuel come up to the surface, and, you know, like, outside when you see like kind of the iridescent looking
Mhm.
like film on top of puddles and water. That's what it looks like when it comes up, and it's like these black little globs and they just like disperse on the surface of the water, and they actually call them the tears of the Arizona, which is like ugh, knife in the
Oh,
heart.
I know. This is
But
a
it's like
lighthearted wedding podcast, by
I
the way.
know. Sorry guys.
I was the one that brought it up. I still think you should get scuba certified.
Yes,
If I was living in Hawaii at your age, I would have done it earlier in my life, I think.
that's a good point. Okay, all right, well now I have to do it, so
Any final advice for couples who are planning a wedding similar to yours?
Have if you can, have an advocate there for you who's in the same time zone, in the general area where you're planning your wedding. I mean, like having my mom there was a game changer. It's She was so incredibly helpful and thoughtful in everything that she did for this. And I mean, she's my mom. She's like my best friend. So she gets me, she gets what I want, and she knows like, that's not fitting the vision of this wedding. And she's somebody who will stand up for me and stand up for the vision that I do have. So
She said that as a direct quote one time.
she did, like a few times too. I don't know that that fits her vision. Like Moira Rose. I don't know if that fits her vision.
Oh,
So
everyone needs a Michelle in their life.
they do.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for joining me today on The Wedding Dish. It was so fun to live your wedding in this different lens. I spent so much time living it like immediately afterward, which is like my favorite because then it's so imprinted on me forever. So getting to like live it through your eyes instead of like my lens was just a really fun way of reminiscing. Um, so
Thank you
we
so much. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you are all good. You are all good. So we will have some photos from Meg and Will's wedding on our show notes, and the video of this too. So you'll get to see some of the red tree. Maybe I should ask you if you have like favorite photos you want me to include as opposed to ones
Oh, the
I
ones on the
choose.
stairs.
Oh God,
The
they
ones
were
from the
so
stairs
good.
outside, they're so good. And the red tree photos. I mean, anything, anything. If you took it, I love it.
I love it. You can find those at theweddingdishpodcast.com. We'll have them in our show notes. And you'll be able to see some of the photos on the Wedding Dish Podcast on Instagram. And if you like the show, give us a follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out. And I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Megan, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it so much. I miss you.
Miss you too. Cheers, everybody.